Hello, everybody at the reunion. Welcome back. Why do you do this to me? Yeah. So for some reason, y'all decided that you want me to dress up in full snow gear. I am looking fantastic, and I don't regret this at all. And also Bob Ross at the same time, and this is definitely a picture that I painted and did not just steal off of my wall over there. Super me, super not anyone else. So, welcome back. Thanks for showing up. Alright, this is really warm. Sitting right in the sun with full snow gear, it's a great idea. If you want influence over how I choose, I get to dress and look like an absolute fashion icon with my sweet hat, sweet beanie, neck warmer thing. Trust me, 2 weeks, you're gonna see freaking Kanye West wearing like this and like and this coat, straight up icon, living. You'll see it. Just trust me. You'll see it. Well, impractical, but who in fashion cares about practical? So, welcome back. We're in the middle of a series about justice and superheroes, and Origin Story is the name of the title. If you're not showing up to our Zoom meetings, wow, why you do this? Why you not show up? No, seriously, we'd love to see you guys out there. We'd love to hang out and connect. We'd love to see you guys out there. We'd also love to give you $5 to go to McDonald's and get some sweet stuff. So, we run a game every week. If you win the game, then you get a $5 gift card to McDonald's. You can go get a bunch of ice cream. Like 5 ice caps. You can't get ice caps there. That's incorrect. But I meant iced coffees, which are better than ice caps. I truly believe that. Ice caps get really soggy and soft towards the bottom, and by the time you get to them, they're not good. The ice caps, not good. So, we'd love to see you out there. If you haven't already joined us, if you're like, what, I've been there, but the code, I don't know what the code is. Well, you've already received it. If you've already emailed the church, and you've already emailed Liz at info@parkwaychurch.ca. We're using the same code every week, so I'd love to see you guys out there. I've seen some of you out there didn't show up last week. I'd love to see you back. We'd all love to see you back because it's just great to connect with you guys again, to have some way to interact, to talk. And even if you show up just for the first 15 minutes, and that's the nice thing about Zoom, you can just be like, I'm done here, I'm out. You don't have to stay, but we'd love to see you guys, love to connect, and yeah, love to see you guys there. So before we jump into any of this, let's just jump in with prayer. So bow your heads with me. Lord God, in these strange times, I pray that you would speak to us, and that you'd speak to these students, and that you would show us what your word has for us and what your word wants us to do. In your name we pray. Amen. So, over the past couple weeks, over the last 2 weeks, we've been talking about origin stories and superheroes and all that. And my biggest question is, what is a superhero's main job? What do you think? Is it to battle strangely dressed villains, like with their weird hair, or like shocking gloves, like that punch? Is it to model latex trends, model the latest trends in latex, to show off their sweet superpowers, to accidentally destroy a ton of buildings? I guess, like, superheroes do all these things, but if we were to name one thing every superhero has in common, it'd be that superheroes help people. And like, superheroes help people, but it would be weird if here we are, if there were superheroes around, like, all right, superhero, let's say Superman chilling, walking down the street. I don't know why he would walk, he would fly. That'd be the way to go. But he's going along and he sees like an old lady about to get hit by a truck, and he says, wait a minute, there's something that needs helping over there, and like doesn't save the old lady. Like, that'd be weird, and we wouldn't say that's okay. That's because superheroes always help those in front of them. And Jesus, superheroes help those in front of them, those who are closest to them, because it'd be weird for them to fly off and do something that's not right there in front of them if they can help, right? But we do this all the time when we think about justice. We need to save those people over there. Oh, I need to help with this cause over here. And while I'm not bashing on those causes, while I'm not trying to say that those causes are bad, when we're thinking about in our own lives, we should always think about the people who are right in front of us. And Jesus perfectly encapsulates this. Jesus entirely cared for the people who were right in front of him. Like, he saved the entire world, but that's not all he did. Jesus showed heroic love, kindness, and care to specific people. And then here's the part that needs to drive us. He told us to do the same. He was an example so that we could go and do the same. On the last night before Jesus was arrested and sentenced to death, here's a conversation that he had with his disciples, the people he kept closest to, the people who were right in front of him. So in John 13:1, it says this: Before the Passover festival, Jesus knew his hour had come to depart from this world and Father. Having loved his own who were in the world, he loved them to the end. Now, by the time of the supper, the devil had already put into the heart of Judas, Simon Iscariot's son, to betray him. Jesus knew that the Father had given everything into his hands, that he had come from God, and that he was going back to God. So he got up from the supper, laid aside his robe, took a towel, and tied it around himself. Next, he poured water into the basin and began to wash his disciples' feet and dry them with the towel he had tied around him. He came to Simon Peter, who asked him, Lord, are you going to wash my feet? Jesus answered him, What I'm doing you don't understand. You don't understand now, but afterwards you will. You will never wash my feet, ever, Peter said to him. Jesus replied, If I don't wash you, you will have no part with me. Simon Peter said to him, Lord, not only my feet, but also my hands and my head. One who has bathed, Jesus told him, doesn't need to wash anything except his feet, but is completely clean. You are clean, but that's not all of you. He knew, for he knew who would betray him. That is why he said, You are not all clean. When Jesus washed their feet, and put his robe on, he reclined again, and said to them, Do you know what I have done for you? You call me teacher and Lord. This is well said, for I am. So if I, your Lord and teacher, have washed your feet, you ought to wash one another's feet. For I have given to you an example, so you should do just as I have done. I assure you, a slave is not greater than the master, and a messenger is not greater than the one who sent him. If you know these things, you are blessed to do them. That moment is amazing and revolutionary for two reasons. First, the disciples' feet would have been disgusting. They didn't wear closed-toe shoes. They're wearing sandals at all times. If you ever have walked on a beach with flip-flops on, you know how quickly the sand gets between your toes. gets between like your everything and it feels gross and grimy and you have to wash them off soon enough. But like they wore them all the time. They walked to and from everywhere with sandals on. They did a lot of walking in dust, dirt, and animal droppings. It was gross. Like, these shoes and these feet went everywhere, and there was, like, it wasn't like they were covered up or protected in any way. And that's amazing. Jesus wasn't just a friend to his peers. Jesus was their respected and honored rabbi, their teacher, mentor, leader. To have him take on the role of a servant and wash their feet would have been embarrassing, uncomfortable, and like just feel wrong. But washing the disciples' feet was Jesus' way of caring for them, serving them, teaching them something very important. Even his greatest act of selfless love, dying on a cross, Jesus modeled on a smaller scale by washing his disciples' feet. That same night, Jesus said something else to his disciples. I give you a new command. Love one another just as I have loved you. You must also love one another. By this, all the people will know that you are my disciples, if you have loved one another. Jesus, our hero, taught us to care for others, but he modeled it too. Jesus spoke these words knowing exactly what was about to happen. So he spoke these words, he washed their feet, knowing even that someone was going to betray him. And I want you to catch that. Jesus knew that Judas was going to betray him. He knew that, and he still washed his feet. He still cared for him, knowing that he was going to be hurt, he was going to be betrayed. And that is truly selfless love. That is someone who knows that they are called to love no matter what. No matter what. Jesus spoke these words, for Jesus, these weren't empty words. He showed his love and cared for people through small acts of care like washing his feet and through huge sacrifices too, like dying on our behalf. We may never literally have to lay down our lives for others. We can be heroic when we love others and care for people like Jesus did. I know there has been countless times in my life where Jesus presents me with an opportunity, and there's no other way to explain it than Jesus putting someone in my path and like giving me that little push to say, you should love this person. Like, I remember there's been countless times when Jesus, like, I've seen someone, whether it's asking me for money, like, I can remember one specific time where I was coming out of the gym and this guy said, like, I was already praying and I was like, God, show me what you want from me. And I was going through a time of fasting and prayer, and he literally put this guy in my path, and he's like, hey, I need money to get gas to get home. And it may not be literally that intense or obvious, but he puts people in our way. He puts people in our path, whether that's our friends or our family. He puts people there for us to care about them. God's decision to love sacrificially reminds me to love others unconditionally. But the love we're talking about isn't just buying someone a nice gift or doing a simple task for them. We're talking about a deeper love. It's not about doing something so you get something in return. It's sacrificial. It's giving up without expecting anything back. Jesus didn't care for the people in his life to be flashy or show off his power. He cared for them. He cared for people to show them the depths of his love, how much he cared for them. Jesus didn't hold back his kindness until he had a crowd to watch him or a friend to film it for him for social media. Jesus cared for people in front of him with no agenda or reward. In the same way, Jesus heroically cared for the people in front of him. And he tells us to do the same because heroes care for the people that are right in front of them. Jesus calls us to care for the people who are right in our ways, and the people who are around us all the time. So what does this look like for us? Are we supposed to wait for our friends' feet to get super gross and messy? I don't know if they're just like running around inside. I had a friend who used to run around with no shoes on during the summer, and he was just like, oh, I just get calluses on my feet, that works. Are we supposed to wait for that, or should we find someone experiencing homelessness and give them a job? Like, what are we expected to do? What does this look like for us in our life? First, let's talk through some real life scenarios that we might experience. Then I'll share some of the things that I learned. There are a few like really common ones, like smile at someone. Jesus once asked his disciples, "Don't you have eyes to see? Don't you have ears to hear?" When we overlook the needs of people who are right in front of us, I wonder if Jesus asks us that question too. So some of the places, some of the ways that we can love people in the way that Jesus calls us to is to smile at someone who's alone, but don't be creepy about it. Just that look, that smile that you can give someone when you can see that they're alone and lonely, just to let them know that they're not alone, can be so huge. Surprise someone by asking how their day is going. So that's especially key now, whether that's reaching out to friends who are alone right now or who you haven't gotten to see in a long time because of everything that's going on right now. Just shoot them a message. Just be like, hey man, how are you doing? Like, how are you? Like, really? Like, and be ready to receive that answer. Give someone something they need, like coats, gloves, a pen, or a meal, and like this is harder for us to do right now, but you can always be on the lookout for stuff like this. Ask someone a question about themselves and really listen to their answer, or like how are you and your parents doing? How are you and God? Like, that's something we try to model here, is when we ask you the questions like, how are you? How are you and God? And how can we pray for you? That's something we try to model, where we're listening to you and we're caring for you when we ask those questions, because we want to know and we want to do everything we can to care, because that's what Jesus did. And the last thing you can do is pay attention to how others are feeling. If see someone hurting or angry, you can simply make them feel better. We might try to make them laugh or give them advice or simply sit there and eat with them. And that empathy of not being alone in your frustration and your anger can speak so much life into people. If you want to do a better job at caring for people in front of you, there are 4 words I want to teach you. Awareness. Like we discussed, the first step in caring for the people in front of us is being aware of their needs. Just being aware of where they're at, the people closest to us. The second one is listening. If we want to care for people in front of us, we must actively listen to what they say. Don't ask a question and then zone off because you see a bird flying or whatever. Like, don't zone out. Really ask the question and then really listen to them. Like, the easiest way is if you can say back what they say in another way, right? If you can rephrase what they're saying back to them. Interpretation. If we want to care for people in front of us, we have to think about how our words can be interpreted. And not only about what we meant, and not only what we meant by the words we said. The last thing is sensitivity. If we want to care for people in front of us, we have to actually care about them. We must be sensitive to their experiences and their perspectives we don't fully understand. Sometimes our heart might be in the right place, but our mouths and our words and our actions aren't. We can really want to help people, But if we're not sensitive to where they are, if we're not aware of things going on in their lives, then we can end up doing more damage than good. And that's a tough line to walk, and something I'm still figuring out, but I really encourage you to really seek out, and that's something that God actually provides for us, right? Is He provides us with wisdom to understand people. He also provides us with little nudges and gestures that allow us to understand people a little better. Sometimes the most heroic thing we can do are the smallest, but the most meaningful. We don't have superpowers to change the world, but we do need to be willing to care for others in the way that Jesus cared for them. Heroes care for the people in front of them. This week, I want you to think about it, and I want you to really ponder about who you are going to heroically care for. Lord God, I pray for these students. I pray that they would watch what Jesus did. Take a look at it and look at the way He cared for the people around Him. And I pray that you would reveal yourself to them, that you would show them how you want them to care for them. In these weird times, I pray that you would show them creative ways to love the people closest to them, that you would show them a depth of love that you had for us, so that they may share your gospel and your wisdom with others. In your name we pray. Amen. We love you. We miss you. We'll see you guys next week.